Hey guys, Alex here with Armadillo Armament. Today, we're going to be discussing the Quantico Hicap made by Alchemy Custom Weaponry and why I will not be keeping this 2011. Before we jump into the video, please like this video, guys. Subscribe if you enjoy my channel. I've also partnered with Red Pawn Shop to make really cool patches of armadillos with quad nods and MCXs. If you use code Armadillo, you'll get 5% off your order. He will also remove 1 pound of junk from the ocean and plant a tree for every single item in the order. You're not only buying a really cool patch, you're saving the planet. Okay? So, the Alchemy Custom Weaponry 2011, their first 2011. This is a 2011 built off the original Quantico design, which is a single stack 1911 that they create. And it's a very interesting gun. And in this video, I'm going to be bringing you through the entire story of the Quantico Hicap, why I purchased it, how I purchased it, and then into my complaints about the firearm and why I'm ultimately going to be moving on and moving to a different platform. For the audiences, before you make fun of my marksmanship, we're testing the irons. I'm not good with irons. All right, aim small, miss small. Oh, I'm out of ammo. Good enough. So, the first part of this video is going to be a disclaimer, as well as kind of a love letter to the company. While I did have a negative experience with Alchemy Custom Weaponry, I need to preface that I am not blaming individuals. I'm not even saying these issues are a huge deal. The issues I had with my Alchemy are, you're going to see throughout the video, pretty minor, but the reason why this video took so long to make and why I'm going to be very particular with my words is because I'm not saying that Alchemy is a bad brand. I'm simply explaining my errors or explaining my issues with the company, and I'm going to be doing so in a very plain and dry and matter-of-fact manner because I want you to make your own opinions. I'm not just going to tell you that this company is terrible like my Dan Wesson video. I just rambled and said that I really don't like them. I gave some objective proof, but I left the video saying that I really have no faith in Dan Wesson. I don't like them at all, and I think they're a bad company. With this company, it's very different. I'm not just giving you a blanket statement of these guys are terrible. I'm just simply explaining why it doesn't work for me. And I'm not saying that Eli did a particularly terrible job, or Nick did a terrible job, or the gunsmith did a terrible job. Instead, I'm just explaining, hopefully I can get across to you guys in a plain and simple manner that the gun simply didn't live up to my expectations. All right. So, from the beginning, let's talk about the ordering process with the Quantico Hicap. Well, first of all, why did I come to the Quantico? Alchemy is a old school brand, and I am a 1911 aficionado. I love my classic Gold Cup national match, and ever since I was a kid, 1911s have been my favorite firearms. And Alchemy is one of the only companies out there that, in my opinion, make a good-looking 2011. Like I said, they are a classic brand that really wants to maintain the appearance and, like I said, that classic work and feel of the 19 and 2011. And many modern brands, like let's say Staccato or SVI or Infinity, they're going into the race gun territory. Their guns are designed to go hard and go fast. And there's nothing wrong with that, but there is a certain amount of old school cool to a traditional looking 19 or 2011. And Alchemy is one of the only companies on the planet that really makes a old school reference 1911 or 2011. And I really respect that about them. They stick true to their guns. Eli is unabashedly American, and it shows in the company he works for and the way he represents himself, right? So I really like Alchemy's approach to the 1911 and 2011 platform, and I liked it so much that even though I wanted to buy a Staccato P Heritage that I canceled, and then I wanted to get an XC, which I canceled, I went with this because of a conversation I had with Eli. Here's what happened. I called up Alchemy one day, and I think I had to leave them a voicemail because they didn't pick up. But I then received a call the next day, and it was Eli. Eli from Alchemy, the guy that's on the social media. And he contacted me, and he said, "Hey, this is Eli. How can I help you?" He was very kind, and I said, "Is this Eli from social media?" And he said, "Yeah, I wear many hats around here." And Eli and I had I think an hour and a half long conversation about why the Quantico is so cool, or why I should get a Quantico over other guns. What are the benefits of this platform, and what Alchemy's kind of mission statement is. And really, that mission statement is being a classic brand and really doing the 1911 and 2011 justice. I asked him a couple other questions like, reliability, fit and finish, everything. And I also asked him one particular question that I wanted to highlight. And that was, with Rob Shawland leaving the company, how are they maintaining their quality, and has anything changed with the company? Because at that point, Rob, which was their lead gunsmith and really really the idea behind Alchemy, as far as I know, he was departing from the company to make his own new company that focused, I think, more on the custom 1911s and 2011s that he kind of departed from with Alchemy, which isn't a problem. That's just what he wanted to do. And Eli told me that, nothing is going to change. They're all passionate about the platform. And even though Rob was a big part of the company, everyone else still was a massive part of the company. It's not like Rob was making every single gun, so the quality should maintain, right? And the reason I mention that is because while in many ways it did maintain, I've encountered some issues with this, and it leads me to believe that, maybe Alchemy bit off more than they can chew, okay? I'm putting that very nicely because, once again, Alchemy's not a bad company. I've just had a couple issues with them. But I got off the phone with Eli, and Eli actually gave me some insider information when I asked him about some upcoming things. And he said, regardless of what you do, either put in the gun or don't put in the gun, wait for this that may potentially happen in the future. But if you want to put in a Alchemy, you're not going to regret it. If you want to put in for a Quantico Hicap, you're not going to regret it. And I can tell that he knew, after I explained to him that I was very much a classic kind of guy, he knew, and he really motivated me to purchase this gun. He is a phenomenal salesman, and just letting him rant on the phone and tell me about all these different styles and everything about the 1911 and 2011 platform, that right there was the best sales pitch I've ever had. So, Eli, if you're watching this video, first of all, no hard feelings, man. I'm not going to try to be too mean to you guys. But second of all, I just want to explain that your marketing skills and your sales skills are phenomenal. And really, you're the reason I bought this gun. And I think that's a really great thing with Alchemy. That custom kind of experience really makes you feel special. And I felt very special talking with him over the phone for that hour and a half. I waited a little bit because I may or may not have been waiting for potentially a new product to come out. Actually, you know what? I can just say it now. The Quantico Full Rail. Maybe I was told. I don't know. Maybe I just predicted the future. But he told me to contact him back after a little bit. And I contacted him back, and I heard that maybe or maybe not that wouldn't be coming immediately. So I said, you know what? I want a classic 1911 anyway. And I wanted this bushing type design. So I wanted to get the classic Quantico Hicap instead of the full rail, and I talked with him for another hour and a half on the phone, and I ended up ordering a Quantico Hicap full rail with their blued finish and their Cabot red dot cut, which I will definitely be telling you guys more about very shortly. All right, so I put in my order for the Quantico Hicap, and it is the longest wait I've ever had to go through in my life. RDR Gear on YouTube has a phenomenal review of the Quantico Hicap at 10,000 rounds that I watched. It must have been 20 times. I've spoken with RDR Gear on Instagram. He's a really great channel. I really recommend you watch his video because it'll give you a good contrasting opinion from my opinion in the video, right? In this video. I must have watched his review 20 times. His video also partially sold me on the gun, if I'm being completely honest. Sage Dynamics, one of my favorite reviewers on the platform, also made a video on his Patreon page where he just absolutely adores this gun. He has sold guns that are significantly more expensive, 2 times as expensive. His fat WMG, I think is what it is, $8,000 to $10,000 gun, I think, between 7 and 9 maybe. He sold that because he just preferred his Quantico Hicap to it. He said this gun does what the Quantico Hicap does what his more expensive guns do, but either as good or better. So I watched each of those videos 50 times while waiting for my gun until roughly 5 months later, on that fateful day, I got the news that they were going to be shipping out my Quantico Hicap to my FFL once I paid the rough deposit of about $3,000 left. Yeah, remember, this is a $4,500 gun, in case I didn't mention that already. So, well, the gun comes in, and I go to my FFL, and I pick it up. And I'm going to put some pictures on the screen throughout this video, but I must express just how drop-dead gorgeous the Quantico Hicap is. This is in their bead-blasted blued finish. And what that means is it is a very easy to wear finish. It's not going to have the corrosion resistance and the normal resistance that DLC or even Cerakote is going to have, but that's by design. Guys, Alchemy is a classic company making classic guns, and they have some tough as nails finishes like DLC and hard chrome if you're a really cool guy, but I wanted a blued gun that would get a really nice wear pattern over time. In fact, in just the first couple hundred rounds, I have a small bit of wear right there from holster draws. It's really hard to see, but it is going to wear in and be beautiful. And honestly, if you're going to get an Alchemy, if you're going to have one Alchemy, I think myself and Eli, I'm almost confident, would tell you to get it in blued. So I pick up my gun and I look it over, and I didn't notice anything immediately wrong with it, but I'm just awestruck at how beautiful it is. The finish is fantastic. The fit is gorgeous. The slide to frame fit is really hard to explain to you. Hard fitting exists in the 1911 world, and what that means is they're going to take an oversized part and they're going to whittle it down until it fits these smaller parts. So it is going to be within microns of each other. It is going to be extremely hard fit and hard to pull the slide. A less bare is notoriously a hard fit gun that is actually, some people have reported you have to shoot open the slide in order to really like break it in. You're just not going to be able to unless you put it in like a vise, right? And this Quantico Hicap isn't that. This is a new beast I've never seen before. I've never experienced before. And I promise you, we're going to get to the bad soon enough. But like I said, I just need to rave about how great they do at certain aspects of their job. This is a type of fitting I've never experienced before, where it is not a hard fit. In fact, I would say that it's easy to move the slide, to reciprocate the slide, even from day one, but I would refer to this as a perfect fit gun. So when I shake, there is no noise whatsoever. It is crazy how little noise there is. This Cold Gold Cup National Match, I love this gun. This is my favorite 1911, actually. And this, we've got some wiggle, baby. And you know what? I don't care at all because it's a combat gun. And even if it's not a combat gun, the slide to frame fit really doesn't matter all that much in 1911s and 2011s. Instead, they're kind of like a quality of life thing. What really matters with a 1911 and a 2011 is the barrel to bushing fit. This bushing right here is what creates your accuracy. And then, of course, how that, co-aligns with your sights and your red dot is what generates that accuracy. So it's not a hard fit gun. It's not a ludicrously tight gun, which some people might be disappointed by, but I'm here to tell you it's not tight, but it's perfect. And I've never seen a gun like this before. Um, I don't know how they did it, but they created a perfectly fit 2011 that I've handled a lot of 1911s and a lot of 2011s, and this feels the best. It does. It's better than Staccatos. It's better than, I haven't really handled that much better than Staccato, but it's better than Staccatos by a mile, and it's better than everything underneath it by a mile. It's way better than Dan Wesson. This is perfect, and if anyone wants a Quantico because they want a smooth feeling gun, this is it, guys. Purchase this 2011 and you won't be disappointed. All right, so I've got the plate carrier on and the helmet because I'm expecting some frag from you guys for this. I've rewritten this part of the video a couple times because I want to be fair. I don't want to be overly negative or overly positive. I want to provide you guys with a accurate representation of all the issues that I've encountered, as non-biased as I possibly can be. Now, moving forward in the video, I actually no longer have the Quantico Hicap, which I will explain at the end of the video. So, after I have raved about the quality of the firearm and the finish and the slide to frame fit and everything, it's now time to talk about the first issues that I encountered. And I'm going to put a picture on the screen right now that encompasses my first issues. And that was, first of all, the RMR HD didn't fit. Now, I need to speak with that because that is a recurring issue. There are numerous people on the internet that state that the RMR HD fits their Quantico Hicap. In fact, there's a lot of pictures of it as well. Those people say that they either need to use a sealer plate, which is a plate between the housing or the RMR housing, the original RMR housing, and the footprint cut. Right? So that housing will make it so because the scoop is a little bit lower on the RMR HD, it'll actually fit the RMR HD. Some people also say that they shave the RMR HD down a little bit. For myself, I actually shaved my RMR HD with a metal saw on my Leatherman, as well as I used 2 sealer plates, and I was not able to get the RMR HD to fit. Because of this, I actually reached out with Alchemy, and I put that in my initial observations, as well as after a little while when I asked for a refund, I mentioned that again. The RMR HD does not fit the Quantico Hicap, and I want to give also the benefit of the doubt to Eli. Eli also says numerous times, and I think on their website, that the RMR HD is not confirmed to fit. The SRO is the optic that fits the Quantico Hicap, or a RMR, a optic that doesn't really have like an overhang, a Chinese hollow sun unit as well. 508 TX2 I think will probably fit. However, because my RMR HD would not fit no matter what, that leads me to believe, or that led me to believe, that my Quantico might actually not be machined properly or fully in their spec. Maybe my DLC or my bluing was a little bit thicker. I had a Glock that I sent to Wager Machine, and he applied my Cerakote way too thick, and it caused a lot of problems. Stuff happens, guys. So that is my first issue that I immediately noticed with my Quantico Hicap. The second issue I noticed, and I'm going to put pictures on the screen right now for you to see, is my front iron sight was incredibly off. I put this in the email that I've shown you, and I was told, hey, go try it at the range before you make that assumption. And also that he didn't see the issue. This was Eli we're talking about. That he didn't see that there was a alignment issue. So I went to the range, and I'll put that video on the screen here. And I was off the target by a significant margin. So I responded back to Eli, and it took numerous emails between the two of us to essentially get that fixed. When I noticed that issue, I posted it to my friends, and I said, hey, do you see an issue? And they said, yeah, absolutely. Your front iron sight is completely off. I went to my non-gun friends that know nothing about guns, and I said, does that look even? And they said, hell no. I went to my girlfriend. I said, hey, look at this. What do you think? She said, that doesn't look even. I was like, oh, thank you. So I'm not crazy. when I was communicating back and forth with Eli, it was just a lot of pushback back and forth, saying that it didn't look like there was an issue, and that when he tested it with his kind of like a caliper in a way, I'll put a picture on the screen right now that ensures that front sights are zeroed properly from the factory. It is saying that it's perfectly fine. And then finally, I think a couple days later, I'll put a picture here, I got him to say, no, you're right. There actually was an issue. We fixed it. When I got the gun back, the front iron sight was fixed. So once again, if I had a sight pusher tool, I would have been able to do that myself. Or if you were mechanically inclined, you could have done it yourself. And they also fixed the issue. I like to give companies the benefit of the doubt. I like to give them the opportunity to fix issues that are presented. And Alchemy does do that. It was just kind of annoying getting to that point. And the fact that this is a $4,000 to $5,000 gun, I really don't think I should be having those issues. And that's kind of a disagreeing point that many people have. I posted this over to 1911 Addicts, which, if you know what that site is, you know that it is a fudging cesspool. I shouldn't swear on YouTube. It is a cesspool. Half the people are fantastic, including one dude I just recently worked with. And the other half the people are just like, I posted this issue and they immediately started calling me out saying, wow, you're putting Alchemy on blast for doing this. You couldn't just reach out with Eli. You couldn't, like, why are you being such an asshole about this? You can't fix it yourself, you idiot. I'm like, look, man, I bought a $4,500 gun. I want my $4,500 gun to be perfect. I don't think I should have to be changing anything about it. I don't think I should have to purchase a $100, $200 sight pushing tool and move the sight myself and get any like marring on that dovetail sight. And I just expect a much higher level of refinement than I would from my MCX or my Glocks or my 226 or my HK. With those guns, I'm okay with a couple issues, especially if I send it back and the company fixes it. My T-Sauce had an issue. I sent it back. They got it back to me in a couple weeks, and I've had no issues since. But the fact that this is such a expensive gun, this really is my largest issue with the Quantico Hicap, is just the fact that the quality control should have been higher for such a expensive item. All right, the last issue that I included in that email was the fact that my X300 didn't fit super well. And that's hard to describe because on a Glock and a 226 and HKs and every gun, when you put an X300 on, I feel like it kind of locks in place. And I don't have a demonstration for you here because I no longer have the Quantico. But the Quantico rail doesn't have a indexing point. So what I would do is I would tighten my X300 down a little bit, and then I would feel a lot of slop back and forth in the rail. And then if I really cranked it down really hard, then it would be rock tight. And honestly, I don't anticipate it ever falling off in the heat of battle at the range. But regardless, these are certain refinements that once again, I expect my gun to have. I expect my X300 to fit perfectly. I expect my RMR HD to, first of all, fit. I'd recommend that, and I'm sure they probably will do this eventually, probably make the cut a little bit less deep so the RMR HD can be accounted for, and so other optics can actually work with your system. The reason their plate cut is so deep is because they want the SRO really deep into the slide. And my opinion on that is I don't think it matters whatsoever. I think maybe it looks nice, but I've never once been worried about my dot height on like a pistol because pistols work completely different than rifles. So, hey, Alchemy, if you're listening to this, maybe change that dot cut so it does accommodate all other dots. But those were the first issues that I had with my Quantico Hicap when I originally got it. I sent it in with Al. Now, I forgot to mention that before I sent in my Quantico Hicap, I actually requested that they modify the grip safety so it was a little bit less sensitive. What happened was the night before, I think at 1 or 2 a.m., because I always annoy my girlfriend with this, there I am dry firing when I can't sleep. And I am about 99% positive that I was able to pull the trigger with the grip safety not being touched at all. Basically, I think I was watching a like Wilson Combat video talking about them, and I said, "Oh, I wonder how sensitive my Quantico Hicap is because I've never really noticed it." So I pulled out my Gold Cup, I pulled out my T-Sauce, I pulled out the Quantico Hicap, and I was just dry firing. And I noticed that it was ludicrously sensitive to the point where if I touched it, I could pull the trigger. But furthermore, and I can't prove this, so I don't necessarily hold this against Alchemy because I don't have it on video. I can't prove this, but I'm 99% sure that I was able to pull the trigger without any pressure on the grip safety whatsoever, without even touching the grip safety. Now, to me, that is a huge deal. I understand that people pin their grip safeties and they want their grip safeties very, you want to have to use a little bit of, some people prefer having to use a little bit of authority and some people prefer them to be very sensitive. And I totally get that. You're allowed to have different opinions. But one of the reasons I love the 1911 and the 2011 platform is safety. I love my Glocks, and I'm actually 100% moving back to Glocks and my normal guns. But people always parrot the idea that the 1911 and the 2011 is super safe because of the manual safety, the grip safety, um, and yeah, they're just very safe firearms. And my girlfriend prefers manual safeties on her firearms. A lot of people do. So when I learned that my grip safety is potentially not working, I made a big deal out of that. So I messaged Eli and I said, "Hey, can you fix this?" And when I sent my gun in and they got it back to me a couple weeks later, it was actually a little bit less sensitive. So once again, I gave them the opportunity to fix it and they did fix it. So I was very happy with that interaction. So I get the gun back and I install my SRO back, my SRO with the Bros, which I would like to make a point of. That is a ludicrously good looking combination. The brushed aluminum on the JagerWorks Bros just really complements the Quantico High Cap brushed blued finish. So I really recommend you take a look at that. But I get my Quantico High Cap back and I start going to the range. At this point, I only had a couple hundred rounds through it. I go to the range and I want to spend a lot more time training. Okay. I tested out my front iron sight, and the front iron sight seemed to be about point of aim, point of impact. And I wasn't having any serious malfunctions. I wasn't in seeing an X300 issue. I wasn't dealing with the RMR HD anymore, which was a huge disappointment. But I explained that in my RMR HD review, which I'll put on the screen right now. But I noticed that I was having failure to lock back on my Quantico High Cap. Now, failure to lock back is probably the least important malfunction you can have with a firearm. A lot of competition shooters actually don't even have lockback whatsoever. And in defensive shooting, very rarely are you going to use a second magazine. If you're using a second magazine, you're probably in a really bad spot. And I highly doubt I'm going to need more than 18 rounds because the mags are 17 plus 1, or 20 plus 1, which I have a 20 round mag. And at this point, I actually installed the Quantico High Cap mag that they have on their website. But I was having some failure to lock back issues, which was a little bit of a cause for concern for me, because once again, we are in the territory of a $4,500 gun. Now, with a comped gun, comps really throw everything out of whack. My Roland Special doesn't lock back a lot. Staccato like XCs definitely lock back a lot less than like a normal like Staccato P. There's something about the compensator that just is going to mess up that lockback function. But on this Quantico High Cap, which I consider to be a very similar weapon to like my Gold Cup National Match in the sense of it's not doing anything crazy. Styling is very similar to a 1911. It is a bushing gun. It's not running like a staccato system with their recoilless guide rod. I expect it to behave fairly similar to a 1911, and my 1911s have consistent lockback almost every single time. My T-Sauce every once in a while. This, I was having a lot of lockback issues, which was a disappointment for me. Once again, from a $4,500 gun, I kind of expect that to be fixed. But regardless, I get through probably 1,000 rounds and the gun is doing great. The accuracy is phenomenal. The trigger is absolutely ludicrously nice. I don't have the gun to show you guys, but I'm talking a 3 to 4 pound pull. And it is one of the nicest 1911 triggers I've ever felt. My Cold Gold Cup national match with irons, that trigger being significantly wider, I really wish 2011 manufacturers would take a look at because the Gold Cup national match has a very wide trigger bow. And because of that, it distributes the pressure of your finger over that trigger a little bit differently. Okay. So I actually find I'm more accurate with that trigger. That being said, the Quantico Hicap trigger is still absolutely phenomenal once again. So the last issue I had with the Quantico Hicap was after I got it back from Alchemy. I was walking around the house. I think I was about to take a shower after a gym session or something. And when you take apart a 1911, there's a lot of moving parts. It's not just a Glock where you can pop off the slide and not really get grease all over you. With a 1911, a bushing 1911, you are removing that bushing, which is going to be covered in oil, removing the barrel, removing the spring, removing everything. You're going to get a little bit dirty. So I brought my gun into the bathroom because I didn't want to get dirty everywhere, and I was going to wash my hands anyway, take a shower after. And I pulled the slide off after removing the bushing, and I want to take a quick aside and talk about the bushing. The bushing is fairly, I'm not going to call it snug. I would argue that my Gold Cup national match is actually more snug, and a lot of people may have like a huge issue with that, where once again, less bears have very tight bushings to the point where you need to use like a bushing wrench to take them off. Mine, it wasn't like that whatsoever. I was able to take it out from day one. I don't care too much about that. Honestly, I probably prefer that because it means I'm not going to need to use a stupid fucking tool to remove my bushing. But maybe that means the gun could be more accurate if it was more tight. But back to the story, there I am in my bathroom. I pull the slide off, and my barrel link pin just immediately falls off. The barrel link pin is what's going to connect essentially the barrel to the slide, for lack of a better term. Um, the barrel link pin is supposed to be fairly stiff, and I'm not a mechanic, guys. The barrel link pin is supposed to be fairly stiff, though. To my knowledge, it's actually supposed to be not staked, but it's supposed to be a tight-fitting part to the point where it's not going to fall out. So what I did is I posted to 1911 Addicts, and 1911 Addicts being the website it is, they immediately jumped at me and said, "What are you, an idiot? It's a barrel link pin. It's perfectly fine." But if you do any research into this, you know that custom 1911s and 2011s shouldn't have that issue, okay? Is it the biggest deal if a barrel link pin falls out or is really loose? No, because it's captured in the slide. However, it is a quality of life feature, okay? And if you are in the first 1,000 rounds of a gun, your barrel link pin should not fall out. So at this point, I am so frustrated with my red dot issue, my X300 issue, my mainspring housing issue, um, just all the issues I was having with my Quantico Hicap, and now the barrel link pin that I shot them over an email. Okay, after posting, and Eli actually responded on that 1911 thread, and he said, "I'll take care of you." Credit to Eli. That guy is working 24/7, which I will get into in just a second. But he responded within the first couple responses and said, "I'll take care of it." But that didn't make me feel that much better because at this point I would need to send my Quantico out for a second time. So I reached out with Eli and he said, "Hey, don't even send me a picture, don't even send me a video. I'll take it back and I'll fix it for you." Which once again, I really kind of respect that. He didn't want to say like, "Oh, Alex, I bet you're wrong. Let me," or send me a paragraph saying, "Oh, the barrel link pin isn't an issue whatsoever," because then I would just get pissed off. Instead, he said, "You know what? You're the customer. You're right. I'm going to take it back." Kind of devolved from there though. So I'm going to post a picture on the screen right now of the email I sent and what he responded with. He sent me the tracking like immediately. That was a great interaction. But once again, I was so kind of frustrated at this point with just all of these issues that I shouldn't be having on a $4,500 gun that I sent this email right here. Now, this email is me asking for a refund. It's me saying, "Look, like you guys do great work, but maybe I'm wrong here and I should just stick with Glocks and I should just stick with 226s and ARs and all these things that, like aren't going to have these issues because they're just different machines, they're different tools, they're more modern, right? So, um, I didn't want to come off as insulting, and I really tried to explain that in my email that I didn't want to come off as insulting, or I didn't want to be like, I didn't want to be rude to them, but maybe I'm better off with a different company. And from here is where I actually got some kind of rude responses. I'm just gonna post photos on the screen right now. When this was all happening, I was talking with all my friends, and I was fairly okay with the answers. I was like, you know what? I'm gonna give them the benefit of the doubt. I'm gonna let them fix it for a second time. And it is what it is. And I think at some point I started like sharing my screen to my friends, and they were all like, wow, they just talked to you not nicely. Like, I'm not gonna say who, it doesn't really matter, but the responses, in my opinion, and in my friend's opinion, and in my girlfriend's opinion, were just kind of snide coming back to me, kind of rude. And I feel like I've given them so many opportunities to fix this because from the factory it should be perfect. But if it's not perfect, cool, I'll send it in and you fix it. The second time it comes back, it's still not perfect, and I need to send it out again. That's where I really have an issue. So I'm sitting there and I'm discussing with my friends. I'm like, what do I do here? Like, do I just like sell the Quantico or do I let them fix it? And I looked over at my Quantico, and my Quantico is to like the right of my laptop. I looked over to my Quantico and I felt anger. Okay. I felt it wasn't even like disappointment or sadness or melancholy or anything. It was actually anger. I looked at it and I said, "Wow, that pisses me off now." And the second you look at a gun and it pisses you off, it's over. So, then once again, I was with my friends and I was like, what do I do here? And they all said, look, man, you've been super nice to these guys. You've been understanding. You've given them multiple chances, and it still needs to go back again. Honestly, Alex, like, you're not happy. Like, just get rid of the thing and go back to whatever other guns you have. And I have a lot of other guns. And I said, yeah, you know what? I just looked at my Quantico and I felt that anger and it's over. Okay. Once you have that, it means you can no longer shoot that gun because you're just going to be attached to the negativity around it, which sounds dumb, but that's the way my monkey brain works. So I send the gun in after getting these frustrating emails from Alchemy, and I had to wait. I sent it in. We had this conversation on the 12th. I just checked my email. I got it back on the 4th. Okay. Um, it's important to note once again that FedEx and like USPS, if they're shipping these kinds of things, they require a signature. The first one, I actually had to take the day off to get it. So I lost money from my work. Let's just say $200 I lost for the day. I'm guessing. I lost $200 because I had to leave for the day. And then the second time, I once again had to take another day off work to sit at home to receive this package. Funny enough, FedEx is really dog shit at their job, and they actually didn't require a signature on both interactions, even though online and through customer service it said that they did. But regardless, I lost money for that. I'm sitting at home all day waiting for my Quantico to come in. And I finally received the Quantico after my quick maths tell me almost 20 days, so more than 2 weeks. Now, I had actually been in communication with someone on 1911 Addicts about all of these issues. Basically, they were trying to buy another Quantico because they sold theirs, and they were selling a Defender H by LMT, which is a Mars H upper. Their Defender lower, it's a precision 308 gun. Um, and when I finally got my Quantico back after those 20 days, like I said, I was so detached from the firearm at this point that I gave it the green light for the trade, and him and I actually recently traded those firearms, which is why I no longer have my Quantico Hicap. I am now the proud owner of a LMT. I'll put a picture on the screen right now. And I'm going to be making videos on that coming up very shortly. But the Quantico Hicap. The Quantico Hicap was my first foray into custom 2011s. Like I said, I started with the Staccato, and then I wanted to get an XC, and I finally landed on the Quantico. And people like Sage Dynamics had such positive reviews of it, and people like RDR Gear had such positive reviews of it that I thought it would be the best firearm for me, and I thought it would be a exceptional quality control firearm, and I wouldn't have any issues with it. And I think that's kind of partly my fault and partly Alchemy's fault. I think that Alchemy really dropped the ball on my sight, on my mainspring housing, on the X300 fitment, on the RMR HD, on their communication with me, on their link pin. I think they dropped the ball on that. But also, I partly blame myself, at least a couple percent, because a lot of people that are 1911 experts or 2011 experts or gurus, or if they work on these guns, or even if you've taken them apart, you know how to fix a 1911 and a 2011 that's exhibiting these issues. I could have fixed everything, right? I can very easily move over that front sight. And I can very easily adjust that mainspring housing. And I can very easily not fix the RMR HD because after shaving it and using two plates, it still didn't work. But I can use an SRO, right? These are issues that I could fix. But I'm the kind of customer that when I'm spending that kind of money, I do not feel like I should be the one fixing them. And I also don't feel that me sending my gun back multiple times and still coming back with issues and having to wait weeks between getting them and then getting a little bit of attitude from emails when I'm a paying customer that kind of expected a experience that I really didn't get. I was promised the custom gun experience or the semi-custom gun experience that I never really got. Okay. So I moved back to Glocks. I'm going to be shooting Glocks and HKs till the day I die because they're simple and they work. I'm going to be shooting AR-15s and my MCX because they're simple and they work. And once again, I put a small amount of blame on myself because I know myself and I should have known that Alex just prefers simple things. Um, Funny anecdote. I've never really done any like precision shooting, and that LMT I got, I've been in communication with that guy a lot. He's a really cool dude. He works for some really cool companies, and I had to have him tell me what the elevation dial and the like diopter is on that precision optic I have, that Venom 3 to 15, that's being replaced by a PSD Gen 2 because once again, I shoot EOTechs and aim points and ACOGs. I'm a simple guy. I like turnkey solutions that just work. And the Quantico was the opposite of that turnkey solution. It is a gun that I would only really recommend if you are into 1911 and 2011 like craftsmanship. If you are okay with buying an expensive gun, but then also turning around and having to work on it every once in a while and fix a couple things, the Quantico Hicap may be the gun for you. Okay. But for people like me, and for a lot of people that I'm assuming on this that watch this channel, I feel like you could do better. Okay. If I was offered a Quantico Hicap and a Staccato P, I would take the Staccato P every single time because I've shot a lot of rounds through staccatos and I've never had any issues through a P and a C2. If I was offered a Quantico Hicap or 2, 4, 6, 8, or 10 Glocks, I would take the 10 Glocks every single time because the Glocks just work, and that's just me as a person. My night vision is rugged and just works. Okay, my rifles are rugged and they just work. My Glocks are rugged and they just work, and because of that, I really can't recommend the Quantico Hicap. All right, so Alchemy, if you're watching this, I know you guys watch a lot of reviews on your guns. Try not to take this personally. I'm just a different person, and my needs are a little bit different than others. A lot of people love your firearms, but I like to be as truthful as possible, and I want the transparency that I was having these issues because I've also run into a couple other people on forums that are also having these issues. My recommendation for you guys is just to make sure that all of these QC issues from the factory are completely taken care of before they leave the factory. If this was a $2,000 gun, I wouldn't care. Even $3,000 gun, I really wouldn't care. I'd be happy with sending it back. But once you get into that high-end category of $4,000, $5,000, that's where I take this a lot more seriously, and that's where a lot of my problems come from. Um, for everyone that's watching, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I know this is pretty bland. It's just me talking to a camera the entire time. I don't have a lot of B-roll. I'm not going to be making this super dramatic and putting sad faces everywhere and doing anything crazy. I just want you guys to be aware of the experiences I had. And moving forward, this channel is really going to be staying away from the 2011 platform, and focusing on a lot of the other firearms and aspects of shooting that I've really always prioritized. So armor, night vision, Glocks, roll and specials, etc. I really hope you guys enjoyed this video. This video did take a long time to make and a lot of rewrites. If you're not subscribed already, I'd really appreciate it if you would subscribe. This channel is growing a lot faster than I ever thought it would. I appreciate every one of you guys. Please comment down below if you've had different experiences with Alchemy than I've had. If you think I'm crazy and I'm an idiot, please, tell me. That's good conversation. Try not to just insult me, but be critical of my video. If you agree with me, please agree down below so we can kind of make a voting system and see, how many people have had issues versus how many people have not had issues. Regardless, thank you all for your support, and I'll catch you guys in the next one.